Hey friends, I hope that you are having a really great week. I'm excited to pop in here today and talk to you about launches. Now, whether you are launching a big course or a product, or maybe you just have a new service or a new revision of your service, launches are super important because when we think about it, we put our heart and our soul into creating this next new thing in our business and we get excited about sharing it. But that also means that we can often set ourselves up to be really disappointed. So, today I'm going to talk about what you should expect from a launch and how to make sure that you are not only having a great launch, but continuing to polish your procedures and what you do so that you can have a better launch every single time. So, a few things that I've noticed with entrepreneurs is that, like I said, we put our heart and soul into what we want to launch, and then we put this wonderful thing out in the world, and we can often just get really disappointed. So I think that it's very important to know this one thing. So if you don't get anything else from this video, know this. Your first launch is a practice. It is not something that is going to set the bar for what you should expect every time you launch. So that means that if you have what you feel like is a great launch and you make, X amount of money and it's close to your goal, amazing. The next time you launch, you're probably going to hit your goal or exceed it. If you have a launch and you feel really disappointed and you did not get as many sales as you wanted, you didn't get the feedback that you wanted, that's great too, because that just means you probably will the next time. It's not a one and done kind of thing. Like I said, it doesn't set the bar for what you should expect for the lifetime of this product or service. So, anytime we launch something, there are some things that we really want to do to make sure that we have the most successful launch that we can. But more importantly than that, we want to make sure that we are creating a very consistent strategy so that we can continue to get really great results. So if you have a group program, for example, and you are hoping this is going to make up maybe half of your income and you need to sell maybe 20 spots, know that you can launch this product, this program, this service, and that the goal here is to perfect your launch strategy so that you can easily fill those spots again and again. This is, again, it's not that you are going to have this launch and it's either going to be awesome and you're going to know that your dreams are going to come true, or it's going to suck and your dreams are not going to come true. It doesn't set the bar. Go into your launch with curiosity. Go into it with the mindset of, I am going to perfect this, like I'm in it, right? I'm in it. I'm doing this. I'm going to keep launching this product or service until I know exactly how to fill these spots and know exactly how to reach these financial goals. So you want to go into it as an observer. You want to get curious. You want to think, how can I tweak this little part? What if I did this differently? What if I did that differently? So now I'm going to share with you a few things to know about launches that will really help ensure that not only do you have a great launch, but that you can continue to have an even better launch so that you can really have that system set in place where you know that you're always going to be able to fill those spots and sell that thing. So the first one is you always want to gauge your audience's interest. Now, we can get so excited as creators, as people that love to teach other people, sharing what we know, and creating this big thing. And often, whatever you think you're going to create, it ends up taking you like 10 times as much time as you thought it would. Or maybe that's just me, but I think that's kind of the usual thing. So, you put all this time and energy into creating something. You want to make sure that that is the thing that people actually want. Because, again, we can often think we know how to solve our client's problem. And hopefully we do, but they're not going to buy that solution if they don't think it's the thing that solves the problem that they have. So we want to be really clear on identifying the problem that our clients want to solve and then presenting them with a really great solution, not just pushing on them what we think they need, because that is going to be really difficult to sell. And I hope that you guys can see the difference. An example of this, I always feel it comes with my kids because they feel like they're having one problem, but I'm older and have more experience and I know them from a different perspective. And so I have to address what's really important to them and then put it into the scope of what I think is really going to get them the best result that they want. And you want to do the same thing for your client. So gauge your client's interest. There are several ways you can do this, and they really revolve around just asking. You can offer to buy someone coffee or maybe give them some kind of free call or something if they're willing to give you some input on things that they are having trouble with that are around what you think you want to create. So You want to have some really specific questions. You want to get some great feedback and make sure that the thing that you're creating is something that people want. If you already have an audience, if you have a Facebook group, if you have a good Instagram following, an email list, you can always just tap into those, the audience that you already have, ask them the questions, tell them what you're thinking, get their input, ask them what they would like to do, what would really work best for them. This is something that I did with my Fearless Fundamentals group program. I ask you guys a question, all of you in this group. What do you feel like would be really helpful for you right now? What kind of support are you looking for? How much time do you want to put into this? How much money do you feel like is a good investment for this? What is the length of time that you would like to have this kind of support? So ask your people questions, because then you can establish a list of leads. So these are people that are actually already interested in the thing that you're selling, which is going to make your first launch that much better. This is a really great way to know what's pre-selling. And in a lot of ways, it's pre-selling. So pre-selling is when you create the sales page, you make the offer, and then you create the thing. So this is another kind of version of pre-selling where you're gauging people's interest. You're making sure that you're creating something that people want to buy, and you're getting them on a wait list so that you've really pre-sold the offer. So the second thing that you want to do is make sure that you are actively building your audience. So again, telling people about it, getting people on a wait list, pre-selling is a great way to do that. But you also just want to continue to create content around the topic of the thing that you want to release, whether it's a product or a service of any kind, so that you're actively building up your list, because mathematically, you're going to need a certain amount of people who are interested to actually make sales. And we always want to make sure that we're filling the top part of our funnel with people who are interested in things that we sell. So people that have the problem that we actually solve. And the next thing is that you want to make sure that when you actually get down to the launch phase, so this is taking into consideration that you have polled your people, you're creating something that they want, then you actively ask them to participate in helping you create this thing, and you get people to sign up on a wait list. Now it's time for you to actually start your launch. I think a lot of times people just don't put enough time into a launch, and they really only think about the launch as this 1 or maybe 2 week period where they're actively selling. There's so much more to a launch than that. There's a before phase where you are, again, doing these other things, where you are pre-selling, where you're polling your audience, where you're asking for their input. Then there's the part where you're creating content that really leads into the problem that you are going to solve, so that when you get down to your actual open cart, so your open cart is only a portion of your launch. Your launch phase should be broad. So if you want to think about it like a funnel, it's broad. You're talking about these topics. You're doing your general things. You're getting a little bit more specific. You're polling people. You're asking really great questions. You're creating a wait list. And then as you narrow in, you are talking specifically about, this is the thing that I have to sell. This is when it's open. This is how much it is, being very specific. And then the very bottom of your funnel is where you have an open and closed cart. So a few tips about open and closed carts is, generally the metrics show that when you have a smaller window, you get more sales. And that's just because when somebody makes a decision that they want to invest, the longer time you give them to not act on that decision, the more likely it is that they actually won't act on that decision. So to create a little sense of urgency, to make sure that they are staying with what they want to do, you want to make sure that you are setting a smaller open and closed cart. Now, some tips on actually getting people into that very bottom piece of your funnel would be that you want to get personal. So you've created the wait list, you've been talking about this thing, you're answering questions, maybe you set up a Q&A, like all of those things are really good. And the very last thing that you can do to really promote your launch is to get personal. Send people direct messages, send them direct emails, ask them questions, ask them if they're ready, ask them if there is anything that you can do to help them make this decision. Get really personal. Reach out to your network, reach out to your warm leads list, which you've created by getting people involved in the process, and ask people in your network if they know someone who they think that this would be a great fit for, to please share. So often we think we're just going to put out the right post, right, the right social media post, and create the best sales page, and people are just going to go and they're going to buy. But I'm telling you from experience that you would be surprised how fast you can fill your programs, how fast you can get sales when you're actually being very specific and having that one-on-one connection and relationship building with people. So if you've had a launch, go back and think about these steps and look at your systems. Look at where things are happening. Do you need to have a smaller window? Do you need to have more personal outreach? Do you need to create more follow-up posts? What can you do to actually make this next launch better? You want to look at every single part of everything that you've done. Maybe you didn't have a large enough window to talk about your promotion. Maybe you needed to work on some of the copy and be more specific about the results that people were going to get. Get feedback and just try to launch your thing again, knowing that you've decided like this is your thing. This is how you're going to make money. And don't put all of your self-worth and all of the decision about whether this is going to work or not work based on this one particular launch. If you've got some tips you would love to share with the group, leave them in the comments below about what has worked really well, what is working really well for launches for you right now.